I, Adam D., being of sound mind and body, do hereby bequeath a podcast that celebrates suburban dad life to you, the listener, because you are that kind of dad, and this is the podcast for you. Little estate and will planning here on the podcast that celebrates suburban dad life. We are Bad to the Dad with Coach Randy and Adam D. And I'm so glad my good friend Coach Randy is here, because otherwise the podcast would just be called Bad to the Dad with blank and Coach Randy. And we simply cannot have that. So Coach, great to see you. Episode number 3, season 3, our 41st episode, and yet it took us 3 years to actually agree to do this kind of thing.
No, listen, as always, great intro. You are the clever genius, but let's be honest, you are the true creative talent behind
Now, it's amazing what you can come up with on a 5-minute ride from my house to yours, to the den.
Absolutely, to the den. But no, it is a pure joy. The weeks go by faster, I have to tell you.
They do.
They go by faster, and next thing I know, it's Sunday. And it's time to record our podcast, and I kind of get excited. I get a little tingle in my jingle.
Tingle. This is why I'm sitting a little further away on the couch.
Tingle in my jingle.
I like our guest today. You know, we're doing something a little different. I love the guests that entertain.
Yes.
But I also love the guests that inform. And,
yes.
You know, we're becoming men of a certain age, and we have to think about certain things. And why don't you tell us a little bit about Yale Hauptman?
He's an attorney. He does a lot of long-term planning. We got him because his publicist, Amy Delman.
He's got a publicist.
Amy
so he's
Delman.
an attorney. He's got a publicist.
And
she
reached out.
Publicist.
Yeah, no kidding. So Amy, thanks for reaching out and bringing Yale. And I've known Yale for a few years. I met him through a Jewish networking group. And,
well, that's a little redundant, Jewish networking. You know, once you're in the tribe, you're just automatically in a network.
3 degrees of separation. So it's certainly stuff. But I'm looking forward to what he has to say. He's a dad of several kids, and if you look at some of the pictures, they all have facial hair.
Yeah, so when you sent me the pictures, and you said, why don't you post these pictures to help advertise Yale's appearance, I'm like, which one is Yale? He's like, isn't it obvious? I said, no!
It's not
They all
obvious.
have beards.
They all have beards.
Except the daughter, thank goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, my kids, I'm being nice to you right now because I know at some point you're going to pick my nursing home, and lo and behold, Yale shows up with
a book called Be Nice to Me. I pick your nursing home, and it just so happens that his son is the cover boy on the book.
Yes.
Bad, but now it's Yale Hauptman. We are Bad to the Dad. We are Bad to the Dad with Coach Randy and Adam D. Again, you can follow us on social media. Instagram is our favorite, at Bad to the Dad. And our website is badtothedad.com. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or any other questions about fried chicken choices, contact us at badtothedad.com is the email that you want to use, and we'll read your question on the air if it's appropriate and we think it's on theme.
I would imagine almost anything is appropriate given my...
We'll find a way to spin it.
Absolutely.
So it's appropriate.
Yes.
Very appropriate guest today.
Appropriate. Very important guest.
Yes. Yale Hauptman is with us from the Hauptman Hauptman law firm, and you can find their services at hauptmanlaw.com. Again, that's hauptmanlaw.com.
How do you spell that?
That's no, it's funny you asked that because I recall that a couple days ago I goofed and I put 2 N's at the end of your name. Hauptman is the correct pronunciation.
Right.
I thought it was 2 N's, but not right next to each other.
Yes.
I thought that's what you meant.
Exactly.
Fletch.
Yes.
Right. Mr. Babar.
Babar. B-A-B-A-R. Babar.
I don't have any elephant books or children.
Or children.
Okay, so we got our Fletch line out of the way. Okay.
More to come. More to come.
Yeah, well, at least we've met the quota.
Yes.
Yale, thank you for putting up with our gibberish. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
So tell us a little bit about what services you provide. I know you provide a whole array of services around long-term planning, elder care, wills and estates too?
Yes. So, but really a large part of our marketing focus is on the elder and disability planning. So, yeah, I've been doing this for 25 years now. Our firm has got, this year is our 25th anniversary. And our niche is really, as people are getting older, and I call it the curse of medical science, it can keep us alive longer, but not necessarily healthy that extended period of time. So people are faced with long-term care issues. Specifically, you need assistance. Might be at home, might be in an assisted living facility, might be in a nursing home. It's very expensive. It can cost upwards of $150,000 a year or more. And so a large part of what we do is help families figure out how to pay for that care. Sometimes it involves long-term care insurance. Sometimes it involves government benefits such as Medicaid. And of course, it's the documents to put in place so that you designate somebody to help you when you need that help.
So I work in the home health nursing business, and I can tell you that the government doesn't exactly make it easy to make money in that. They used to, and now we're going through, for those of you who like a good healthcare economics discussion, kind of what the Reagan-era reforms were doing to hospitals back in the 80s. So now there are new payment plans, Medicare payment plans, and I think Medicaid eventually payment plans for home health. So do you educate your customers, your clients, on that whole landscape and how Medicare is changing, and don't expect it to be a blank check?
Well, we don't really deal so much with Medicare for the reason that Medicare doesn't, it'll pay for when you're going to be able to get better.
Yeah.
But as soon as, like for a lot of seniors, they're in the hospital, something happens, and they go to rehab. But for seniors who have advanced dementia, Parkinson's, ALS, there's no cure for these things. And so once they stop getting any benefit from rehab, Medicare is out of the picture. And then you're faced with the realization that, oh my God, how am I going to pay for this? And that's where you get into private pay, which is using your own money, long-term care insurance, if you've had the forethought to purchase it. Amazingly, still people call me up and they say, all right, now I need care. Can I get long-term care insurance? I'm saying, well, I don't think the insurance company's going to love you. They kind of want to get premiums for a little bit before they start paying out, a lot of money.
So then what's an age to consider long-term care?
Well,
Insurance.
These days, I'm actually saying that people ought to consider it even in their 40s. I used to say once you get to retirement age.
I'm too late.
Yeah, I'm sure, Randy, you've covered it already, right? So because
you're going to be living with me, Randy,
yes.
So it's okay.
Well, you guys got a plan here.
Yeah.
That can work.
We'll be in the den. Where's Coach? In the den.
Our wives are going to be feeding us a soup with a straw.
In the den.
Yeah, your wife will come down once a week, maybe.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah. So even we're seeing a lot of folks with long-term care needs even in their 40s. So, for example, we're working now with a couple of clients. Wife had a brain aneurysm. And, years ago, you'd have a brain aneurysm, you'd go to the hospital. Oftentimes, 20, 30 years ago, you wouldn't survive that. Now, you survive it, but, the wife needs a lot of care. They didn't even have a power of attorney, so we had to do guardianship for the husband to now then figure out how to restructure assets. They had no long-term care insurance. And it's a lot of money, and he's got young kids, teenage kids on top of that. And so we're trying to get as quickly as we can to qualifying for Medicaid because he's got to get his kids through college. It's just a real, mess. It's not, I wouldn't say it's common, but it's increasingly, we see it because this is what we do. But if you're unprepared for it, it's catastrophic, and it'll destroy your finances.
Yeah. So being in the business I'm in, I've seen a few nursing home bills or been in that conversation. And this isn't like buying like a Hyundai Sonata. I mean, this is an
is it a Kia? Kia Sport?
Yeah, now you're going the other way. Does long-term care insurance cover most of it, or are there other supplemental options
depends.
People?
Yeah, it depends on how much coverage you buy. So typically, and I have an insurance license as well, although I'm not really that. I work with an insurance agent who knows what is being what's out there, because the insurance companies are constantly changing their products and such. But people tend to buy insurance. They start out with, well, what's the premium and how much can I afford? And it's the wrong way to think about it. You got to look at what am I trying to protect against? Now, a lot of times people don't need 100% coverage. If you figure out how much you can commit to the cost of care, and then you're looking for the insurance to bridge that gap. And then people try to shave off, well, I don't really want to spend too much money, so I'll cut this off, I'll cut that off. And again, they're not really thinking about what it will cover until they have to put in the claim. So, so the answer is it can cover a lot and everything you need, and it can cover not so much. For example, we've had clients that just bought the coverage for home care, and then they reach a point where it works, but then they can't stay at home any longer. They got to go to a facility.
Right.
Well, then we find out, we look at the policy, it doesn't cover, in a nursing home, because they only bought the home, the home care coverage.
Well, you're just a bear of good news.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I think what he's bringing in is a reality, and I think what I'm finding
my
fascinating
God.
about
Maybe
this
we should go back to the chicken recipe.
But we've already covered that. I'm all chickened out. But what I think is fascinating about this conversation is I expected this to be a talk about what can we do, like guys in our 40s and 50s, for our parents.
Yeah.
And we're realizing that if you're just thinking about that now for your parents who are probably in their 70s
too late.
and 80s,
It's too late.
Too late. This is really about us and what we can do at this turning point in our lives, where unfortunately you have to start thinking about it.
So you have to have life insurance.
Actually,
long-term.
I'll correct you on that. It's not necessarily too late.
Okay.
It's
good to know.
Because when you talk about your parents, the Medicaid rules, let's say they don't have insurance, but if your parents are both alive, married couple, and one of them needs care, there's still a lot that can be done.
Okay.
And even if, I always say, even if you're, you got a loved one that's on the doorstep of a nursing home, already in a nursing home, it does not hurt to call and find out. Because oftentimes, without getting too into the weeds here, into the technical stuff.
We like the weeds, though.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There are a lot of exceptions to the rules. So if you don't have insurance, and we're talking about the Medicaid program with a married couple, there are a lot of opportunities to save as much as we can for the healthy spouse to get the sick spouse on Medicaid as quickly as possible.
Because it does say, through sickness and in health,
yes,
are the vows that we take, or until
Until the money runs out.
until death do us depart.
Yeah, I think that's in the
Very
the
fine print and
yeah.
italicized, and it may not even be in English. So.
And that's why my dad has long-term care, so he's told me that
mine too.
I'm all set to be his son. But it's so funny because I often joke about, and we'll talk about this segue, is that I often joke with my dad. I say, Dad, whatever it is, you have to be nice to me, because in the end, I get to pick your nursing home.
There you go.
And so I tell my kids, like, I'm being nice to you right now because I know at some point you're going to pick my nursing home. And lo and behold, Yale shows up with
a book called Be Nice to Me. I Pick Your Nursing Home, and it just so happens that his son is the cover boy on the book.
Yes.
This is great. First of all, I have a feeling this jumps off the shelves because it's orange, and just the font alone just calls
with
to your
the
attention.
snarky looking
The
kid.
snarky look. Yeah, he's got the. Is
got
that
the-
natural, or did you put him through?
That's a natural
Yeah?
for him.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
yeah.
just
Wakes
gave the
up like
finger.
that.
It's not the finger.
Not the finger, but a finger.
It's a pointy finger.
It's very, very, very pointed.
Although I think it would have been nicer had he done like this, right? Give the middle finger.
Yeah, we went with
we're
the
not
PG
Facebook
rated
Yes.
version.
So, I know why you wrote this book, but when did you decide to do it?
So I actually write a blog that I've been doing for more than 10 years now. And a lot of them are stories that, because we get a lot of calls coming in from folks who need help. And some of them we can help. Some of them, we can do a lot. Some of them not so much. And some of them, it is too late, other than to qualify for Medicaid, or even sometimes in those cases, they've kind of messed it up. So I took those stories because, we learn best from stories. Mm-hmm. And I put together the book, which is a compilation of the articles, the posts that I've written over the years. I'm actually working on a new one now updating or adding to it. And it really illustrates what can be done if you get the right advice, and it's always best to do it as early as possible. But even if it's more later in the game, as I said, there still may be a lot of things that you can do to protect. And one thing, Randy, you're talking about your dad has long-term care insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give everybody a little tip because we've had too many calls on this. So your dad has long-term care insurance.
Mm-hmm.
He's paying the premiums. Okay, no problem. He says, Randy, I got it covered.
Yeah.
All right. But
He doesn't have it covered.
Yeah. Okay. So you're wise on that, because a lot of kids say, all right, he doesn't want any help. He's got the long-term care insurance. We'll turn it on whenever he needs it. So many times we get calls from people. All of a sudden they realize, dad hasn't paid the premiums because he's got dementia. He's getting forgetful, and the insurance company's supposed to, and they do. They send you a letter, if you don't pay the premium, say, hey, we didn't get your premium.
All right.
You got another 20 days. And then
who are they sending that letter to? The policyholder, right?
Yeah, they're sending it
who
to him.
Could have dementia.
Yes.
Exactly.
Exactly. Doesn't know better.
So here's the
no
tip.
dummies. Yeah.
Talk to your dad and say, Dad, because the insurance companies have to offer this to you to send notices to somebody else.
Okay.
So have your dad send the notice to you, or have the insurance company rather send notices to you.
Outsmart.
Because if you see there's a letter, hey, we didn't get your premium, then you follow up with dad and say, hey, what's going on?
Secondary address. Again, we're speaking with Yale Hauptman, attorney. The book is called Be Nice to Me, I Picked Your Nursing Home. We should mention that the subtitle is How to Provide for Your Parents' Care Without Going to the Poorhouse or the Nut House, which I think was written specifically for you.
For someone like me, because that is exactly right. Now, you mentioned real quickly, because I would love the Nut House. I think I spent half my day in the Nut House.
It'd be an easy transition.
You mentioned a blog. What's your blog?
So my blog is on my website. It's www.hauptmanlaw.com. And if you want to go straight to the blog, it's /blog. And I write articles. A lot of them are stories. Sometimes they're updates on the law, things that are happening in my world, so to speak. And we send out emails. We call it the Monday Morning Blog, because I send out an email to my list with a link that you can go straight and read the article straight there.
Yeah. I know that elder care and counseling both the elders and those who are taking care of the elders is kind of your expertise. I actually posted something on our social media as a preparation for your appearance around wills and estates, and I know you do that, although it may not be a centerpiece of your service. Never ends. Sometimes, Randy, I feel like
I know.
You have your own syndrome.
I do.
It's like the Coach Randy syndrome,
yes.
Population you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm so glad we have this time together. Getting back between the rails now, I had done some research, and I just wanted to verify this with a few other sources. So 6 out of 10 Americans don't have a will. Have not done any estate planning. Does that surprise you, and do you feel that there's some truth to that?
I believe there's absolute truth to it, and it does not surprise me. I think sometimes some people get superstitious. They think, if I'm going to have, if I do my will, that means I'm going to
croak 10 minutes later as soon as I walk out of the lawyer's office.
Other people say, I don't really need it right now. I'll do it when I need it, as if somebody's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, listen, something's going to happen to you tomorrow, so you better get it taken care of today. And so it's not surprising, but everybody should have. We do straight estate planning, as I call it, which is really wills along with powers of attorney and healthcare directives, because we do a lot of guardianships in our office, which the primary reason to do a guardianship is because somebody didn't sign a power of attorney and healthcare directive, and now they can't make decisions for themselves. May have a wife, okay, but without the legal documentation, the wife's not going to be able to access everything that the husband has and do what's necessary. So, most people really, you want to avoid a guardianship, and it becomes more times than not necessary because of the lack of planning.
Yeah. I also heard one other I guess, sidebar on why people don't do wills, and that's I don't have enough assets to leave to somebody anyway. But I have to imagine anybody, even the poorest people, have something, have some ownership, even if it's not a material asset or liquid. They must have something where writing a will is still going to be advantageous.
Absolutely. There's always something. And then even if people don't think they have much, they do when you consider life insurance. And then if you talk about estate planning for younger families with younger children, you want to designate who's going to be the guardian if, God forbid, something happens to you and your kids are still minors. That's designated in your will too. Guardians of minor children.
So then, worst case scenario, I mean, let's go there. They don't have a will. They pass away. I mean, what have they left behind in terms of for their family because they didn't have the will, they didn't do the planning?
So what happens is the state has a process of determining what happens to somebody's
So the
assets.
state decides.
Yeah, so it's under something called the intestacy laws.
What kind of laws?
The intestacy laws.
I think it's intestines laws.
Yeah.
Which is what will happen to you when you go to hibachi.
Yes. So the intestacy laws, basically, the state comes in and just controls everything.
Well, the state has set up a set of laws that designates who's entitled to the money based on classes of people. But that may not be, what you want. And then if you're, we were talking about minor children, you may think that the last person you want to be caring for your kids is your sister.
Yeah.
For example. But your sister will have the ability to come in to court if you didn't leave a roadmap of who you wanted to be, that person, and could end up, convincing a judge that
She's the one.
She's the one. And in your mind, that was the last person you would want. I'm not picking on your sister if you have one.
No, I don't have a sister.
Okay,
no.
so that was a good call.
But if I did, I wouldn't want her to be mine.
We'll just assume that
Exactly.
Yeah, this just wasn't
Just try to
gonna work out.
keeping you on his toes.
Yeah, very much so.
You have to
It's a
understand
hypothetical.
the adolescent
Right.
nature in terms of which I live.
Like
It's
you
in my
said,
head.
we learn from stories. So
Absolutely. So so those are some of the things, and then it's not for example when we talk about second marriages, that gets even more complicated, and then the state laws that say what happens to your assets are going to designate them to go in directions that the odds are it's not going to be what you want. So you have an opportunity to decide, but you got to do that by preparing a will.
So basically, at the very least, have a will. Next step, think about power of attorney, right? And you want the healthcare directive because you want to be able to decide whether or not you want to be kept on machine. At best, think about long-term insurance and things like that. That'd be the complete package. That'd be the 360.
Yeah, I would say for folks that are, I'm going to say we're probably about the same age.
I'm 22. What about you?
Yeah, I'm close to that. I'm at 24.
it's the new math, Randy.
Absolutely. Well, I just celebrated the second anniversary of my 25th birthday.
Well,
yes.
Congratulations.
Again, the new math.
The new math.
So, yeah.
So that's what I would say for folks that are our age, and for folks that are parents' age. Absolutely, take a look and it's a little different planning, but planning nonetheless for the possibility or really
just to
the
know what to
inevitability
expect. To know what to expect.
long-term care. Yeah,
And then you can go to Hauptman Law for all that information. And he'll help you navigate through that, or you can get the book, which again is called
Where can you purchase the book?
Be Nice to Me, I Pick Your Nursing Home. Yes,
So
where
we-
can one get this book?
So we have the book if you go online and on our website, and we have it, no charge. We'll send it to you.
Is that right?
It's going to send you back $0.
$0.
What about shipping?
Just the shipping.
Just the shipping.
So what's
Just a
that?
couple
It's
of bucks.
$15 in shipping.
$150.
It's a light book. It's soft cover, so
Soft
it's
cover.
a little bit less.
So you'll get a complimentary book.
Yep.
Pay for shipping of all the genius behind your blog and stories, just to prepare. Now, are the stories somewhat entertaining?
Well, it depends on what you find entertaining.
right.
If other people's misery is entertaining for you, Randy, which I know it
Freudenshire.
is.
I'm all about Freudenshire.
Oh, wow, you nailed the pronunciation,
Yes.
too. Yeah.
What I will
Yep.
say is it's thought-provoking.
Yeah.
So, but I guess that you planned, because this is your business,
Yep.
and the picture on the front is your son, and now we've seen a picture of your son. What are some things you like to do with your family, with your kids?
So I have 3 kids, and so I like to, one son is really into sports, the snarky one over there. So we,
What's the snarky kid's name?
Andrew.
Andrew.
Andrew, he looks like he should be in a Disney Channel show, doesn't he?
I'm kind of like
that look.
Yeah, a Disney Channel.
that look.
Got that look. Just look. You're like, you know what I'm talking about? That look.
That look, yeah. So he's into sports.
Yes.
Yeah, he's out. He's 26 now, and he's living with his girlfriend in the city, and so we like to attend concerts and sports together. And then my second son, he's at Seton Hall Law, and he's. I practice with my wife, by the way. That's the other Hauptman.
I was going to run.
That's
Hauptman,
a whole
Hauptman.
That's a whole
Wow.
separate show.
That's a whole show.
So it could be Hauptman, Hauptman, and Hauptman.
Hauptman.
So he's
Great lawyer joke
we,
about
we,
that.
we tell folks hopefully he's our succession plan.
You
And
don't have to change the name of the law firm. It's just
Hauptman cubed.
to the third.
Hauptman, wife, and son. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Does he want to do the kind of law that
it's funny. He I think so, but no pressure on him. He's and he wouldn't join us right away anyway. We want him to go work for somebody else first. But it's funny because as I said, I practiced with my wife, and over dinner when the kids were younger, sometimes you tend to talk a little shop, and the kids would roll their eyes, and they always thought elder law. They didn't really know what it was, and they said, "Well, how come you don't practice, criminal law?" Because I watched the the
CSI,
shows,
yeah.
CSI and all that stuff. Now, Brian is my second. So when he first started working summers for us, he gave us kind of a backhanded compliment. After a couple of days or a couple of weeks, we said, well, "What do you think about elder law?" And he said, "It's not that boring."
Not so terrible.
It's not
So I
that
take
boring.
it-
Damning with faint praise.
It's boring, but not that boring.
Surprisingly, it's
Yeah.
not that boring. And over time, he's really taken to it. But we'll see. No pressures. No pressures.
Right.
Yeah. And then my daughter is she's at Ithaca, and she's in film. So I listened to your last week's guest.
Ali
Oh,
DeVore.
yeah,
I
Ali DeVore.
might give her
Yeah.
be able to give her some tips. She's
Yeah.
actually
We'll put her in touch.
We'll put her in touch with Allie.
looking to
Sweet guy.
live in California. She actually is a finalist. She just wrapped up filming on a project for Coca-Cola. They have this program every year where they have 5 finalists, and then they get to make a short
film. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they get a chance to do it.
which ends up getting shown in
On screens.
Regal theaters
Yeah.
for a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Although they just announced that they're no longer partnered with Regal, so
might
now
go
they're
to
Find
with,
another theater.
now they're with AMC.
Yeah.
Oh, which I think is
So,
even better.
AMC's even better.
But she got to make the film. They gave her
finances.
$15,000 to make
Yeah.
the film, and
Nice.
we'll see what happens. So and
I
then
do remember they the 5 finalists. It is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big, even just to become a finalist.
That's
as
what
much as much as you want to, as a finalist, because there's not
she
just
wanted to make the film.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that 5 finalists
Yeah.
got to make the
And,
film.
and to get
so.
that kind of capital to make the project happen, that helps.
Yeah.
Helps. A lot of filmmakers would love to have at least the 15 grand. Very cool.
Yeah.
So to wrap it all up, we have this segment called Dadvice. It's Advice, and that's our
Right.
clever little tape because we have the whole dad theme going here because we're bad to the dad. What advice do you
or
have?
dadvice.
Or dadvice do you have for fellow dads listening out there? Could be about anything. It could be just how to raise a family, how to have fun with a family. You could do the whole elder planning take if you'd like, but you don't have to, and I leave it to you.
So, what I've found, is I think our generation of parents is more involved than our parents were, and sometimes I think perhaps we get a little too involved. So, my advice is I've always liked to just kind of take a step back, and I think it's okay if my kids, don't come to me. I really don't want them to come to me. My son Andrew is always saying, Dad, tell me what to do. You know, I said, listen, I'm not telling you what to do. You know, I'll give you my opinion. I'll help you work through it, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. And I think it's okay if they learn from. We all learn from our experiences and from our failures and problems. I'll give you an example. My daughter went to London last year for the semester. You know, all these kids, you know, these days they travel.
It's a tough life being our kids.
It is a tough life.
Tough life being our kids.
And I said to her, Abby, don't leave your phone. You know, the kids put their phones and they got that little pocket in the back and they put
all their money in credit cards
and everything. I said, first of all, I don't really like that, but, you know, she gives the stock answer. I know. Everybody's doing it, right? Yeah. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, you're right.
So she, and I said, and you got to keep your phone on you. Don't put your phone. I watch her put her phone on the table.
Yeah.
So she's in London. And we were supposed to go out. My wife and I were going to Italy, and she was going to meet us in Italy while she was over there. So, like 2 days before we're ready to leave, she calls up. She had been in a restaurant. She put her phone down. There's a guy keeps coming to the table, bothering she and her friends, and it was a scam. So what he did was the last time they keep shooing him away. Last time he comes, he puts down a magazine, he scoops up her phone with everything on it. And she calls up, and amazingly, we were able to get her a replacement cards. It was a major hassle. She had to go to the consulate. We had to get her a burner phone. And she learned a lesson from that.
Life lessons.
A life lesson.
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, we can tell them, you know, what to do, but... You know, sometimes they learn from bad experiences.
As we say, pain is a good educator.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes. Sometimes the best dad advice is the most painful.
Yes.
So I mean, I certainly didn't wish that to happen, but
life lessons.
Life lessons, and those are sometimes the most valuable ones.
Yeah. I like that.
His name is Yale Hauptman. Attorney at law, specializing in elder care and long-term planning. The book is called Be Nice to Me, I Pick Your Nursing Home, How to Provide for Your Parents' Care Without Going to the Poorhouse or the Nut House. You can find all the information, including information about the book, on the Hauptman Law website, which is hauptmanlaw.com. I keep pronouncing it both ways. hauptmanlaw.com. That's HAUPTMAN law.com. Yeah, this has been a great pleasure. I know I learned a lot. Thank you so much for spending time with us on Bad to the Dad.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
We are Bad to the Dad. Download us wherever you find podcasts.